Best Buy old school tech therapy walkthrough up next.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that have been with me for the last 8 or 9 years, you remember these Best Buy walkthroughs. And I've heard through the comments and through the years that you guys still want them. And for those of you that have been with me since the beginning, this was the only way I could show you what was in store, what was coming out, the prices, and actually show you any kind of comparisons other than the 1 or 2 TVs I had that I would personally own. And as the years have gone on, I have more access to some of the best TVs in the world. I still like to go in and show you how the stores look, especially during the shutdown, which lasted about 4 years. Many of you couldn't even leave your house, let alone go into a retail location. Not to mention these retail locations are going away, whether it's Best Buy, Costco are the ones I frequent now. Not everybody has a Value Electronics down the street. So I still like to go in and show you what's in store. Today we'll be at one of my favorite Best Buys in the country, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I love the way this location is set up. Each pad is meticulously done. Sony's well represented, the most Sony's I've seen in any other Best Buy. Samsung as usual. LG is representing, as well as Hisense and TCL that have both of their 98-inch models there, as well as separate kiosks. It's the best Best Buy I've been to in the country. Without further ado, let's check out Best Buy in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching and being with me all these years in these Tech Therapy Best Buy videos. Love you guys. All right, guys, let's do it. Best Buy, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, as I mentioned, one of my favorite locations. And right off the bat, as I walk into the immediate right, Hisense and TCL representing in a way I haven't seen yet anywhere. 100-inch U76N. Now, I've been very critical of both Hisense and TCL in the last number of years since they got into the higher end TV space, is not having a strong retail presence. And since the beginning of last year, and clearly right now, they're both representing in a way that no one else is. 98-inch TCL to the left, 100-inch Hisense to the right. This is their main strength over any of the other brands, is high-end, picture quality, value, and size. And here they are. Now, the commitment to the pads in Best Buy is a large financial commitment for both manufacturers. What I love about their kiosks is each one has their sound options present. You can see from both TCL and Hisense. So they went from having no presence at all to small kiosks in the corner of the stores to these large pads that used to be occupied by Vizio. So now you have both their 100-inch and 98-inch in full effect. Amazing to see the impact they have on the store. They definitely need to work on their demo material though. Don't love the generic tennis, but this is where they beat everyone. Again, size, value, and high-end performance. I also love that both kiosks are detailed in the different models they have that aren't even there in front of you to help delineate which model is which, especially with TCL. That can be very confusing. I'm actually going to have TCL on in a few days for an interview to talk about the future of their lineup. We'll be back to TCL a little more throughout the video. But this helps illustrate why I love doing these videos. I want you to be able to hear about certain models and then go in and see them for yourself. As I show you the layout of the store, LG is to the left. Now moving over to LG, which had a very strong year. I just did a review of the QNED 89T, which is 98 inches. I wish that was here, but you're seeing a larger C4, G4, smaller C4, as well as a few new QNEDs. Now I'm going to zoom in on the prices here and there, but they're not really going to be valid. This was just after the July 4th weekend, and the prices have changed anyway. But I zoom in more so you can see exactly which model it is. If Best Buy does have any weakness in terms of the way their stores are, as if these aren't accurate in front of the pads having different prices and different models. Any of the staff can look at that sticker, use their scanner, and make sure it's the right TV that you see, because some Best Buys have older models or newer models next to older prices and older tags. You'll see that throughout the store, even here. Some of these kiosks are older. Now, in my humble opinion, the LG G4 is the best TV of the year. It is my favorite for my personal choice. They are well represented in this store, as you're seeing 5 top models. There's another G4 off to the side. And what I also like about this Best Buy is they also have the packaged TVs in their cartons, like you see here with the C4, right next to their own kiosk and or pad. They're called pads. The kiosks are the smaller ones. Now, what I love about this corner is, I'll prove it to you, they actually have an older QN900B stand, but that's actually a QN800D Neo QLED. And there is a 77-inch LG G4. They just kind of have them off to the corner. But for years, that side TV where you saw the QN 800D has always been an 8K TV. One of the highest end in the store is kind of hanging out over there. That's where they keep the 800 and not the flagship. But you can see right there it's mislabeled, but that is in fact the QN 800D Neo QLED. Now on the other side of the store, I love seeing this. You actually have an LG B4 and then some QNEDs. And again, seeing the bottom label helping you delineate which is which. Now, we had the LG B3 at M-Wave, and I was shocked at how good it looked against the G4 and C4. So do not sleep on the B series. If you're looking for a very affordable, very complete image, the B series from LG is excellent. And again, even though it's over on the other side of the store, it's labeled properly. A separate LG space, again with these bottom tags, letting you know which QNED you're looking at, what sizes are available. And now I'll fully recommend the B series. I was shocked at how good it looked, even against the newest models from LG. Now over to Sony. Again, look at the representation here. You have your 5 main models. You actually have the Bravia 8, the A95L, the Bravia 9, the X90L, Bravia 7. I will say about the Bravia 7, seeing it in store, they clearly have not been updated. The blooming control is much better on them. So if you see a lot of blooming on the Bravia 7 off angle, it is much better in person. I'm going to revisit the Bravia 7 at a larger size at Value Electronics in a few weeks. You see the Bar 9, again, having the sound options. A95L, Bravia 8, Bravia 8, A80J, A80K, A80L, another amazing WOLED a lot of people sleep on because they're not QD OLEDs. It's a mistake. The Bravia 8 is excellent. Now the X90L carries over, but the Bravia 9, this majestic centerpiece to the whole lineup. Now, a lot of you that have Best Buys in your locations don't even have a Bravia 9 at all. Now that is dictated by corporate and not the fault of the individual Best Buys. Now here we had some, copywritten material on the screen, so you're gonna see me kind of go up and down, but behind the main Sony pad, you can see they have the OLEDs, X90, they have these TVs side by side. What I love about this is they put them together at various prices, but you can do your own comparisons that you wouldn't normally see outside of our videos. All the options, different sound options, different sound bars. You have some of the TVs from last year. Also here, this is the A80L, which I personally have at 83 inches. But very rarely for me do you see this many Sonys in the same area. Sometimes you have random ones throughout the store. But for myself, seeing them side by side is excellent. Now, it's not that they're just in retail mode, which they obviously are. It's about seeing the chassis. It's about being able to see them for yourselves. that is so important for even what I do. We make our recommendations, but for you to be able to go into a location and say, okay, you know what, I see what he's talking about here. And especially in this Myrtle Beach, everybody here was unbelievably helpful. Special shout out to Paul, who actually puts together the Sony pad here. Any one of these guys or girls would have said, yeah, I'll grab the remote. I'll help you go through the settings. That way you can see it outside of retail mode. Everybody very helpful. Now that also changes from store to store due to that store's popularity or foot traffic. They're going to have less employees or more employees. Now, quickly shifting over to my Best Buy, shout out to Jim at Best Buy in Connecticut. I saw a Bravia 3. Now, it was off in the corner, again, dictated by corporate, but the Bravia 3, very interesting TV to have over here in the corner with the much cheaper versions. I'd love to see this TV for you guys. Last time I saw the Bravia 3 was in LA for Sony's global launch. So another thing about what we do is getting your hands on some of the lower tier models is not as easy as you would think. Even the manufacturers don't send out versions of those TVs. Up next is the king of Best Buy is Samsung. They have always had the best setups in all of these stores, and they show up in full force. This one has not only the main 5 or 6, it has about 9 or 10, including the frames, which you'll see off to the right, and I'll go to those in a moment. But they always make sure they have their centerpiece flagship right in the middle, which this year is the QN900D Neo QLED, 8K. And finally, the QD OLEDs, the S95D, those are up as well where they should be in terms of being around the rest of the lineup. Now I'm going to jump here from the Myrtle Beach location to my location in Connecticut simply because they have brand new material. The new Samsung demo material is up in Connecticut. So I'm going to jump between these two. But you can see over, here I am back in South Carolina, they're back to back. There's, smaller OLEDs on one side. There's the Crystal series. They have them everywhere. Those are all Samsungs. And having the S95D actually labeled that way as glare free, that is key. And in the store, look at that, nothing. While you see glare on everything else. But again, everybody in the store, very helpful and very knowledgeable. Now, if Samsung has one main weakness is actually too many models. As we look around at some of the TCLs and some of the random Roku TVs, Samsung has so many models, they actually can cannibalize each other. And again, for us reviewing them, I'm not going to be able to get my hands on the 6 series or 7 series. Kind of the QN85 is where we start. And you guys will laugh, and I always say this, the TV that I get asked about the most outside of YouTube is the frame. Among friends, family, people I know outside of YouTube, the question is always, hey man, what do you think about the frame? And I'm like, it'll put artwork on the wall for you. That's about it. I mean, they're a good idea. But you can see the glare on the Samsungs and where the S95D comes into play. You can actually see when the S95D is on screen throughout, this walkthrough is why they chose to go that route. It was not really just for sunlight, which actually isn't a strength, but these in-store views always have so many glare problems. So they're like, oh yeah, by the way, look, this one has no glare at all. Now, on camera, I'll say this time and time again, QD OLEDs, due to the camera sensor, will push red or more magenta or pinkish. That is not the TVs themselves. It's just the camera sensor does that when the two different technologies are side by side. For many years, you would see OLEDs looking very blue, WOLEDs. So there's a Q80D. But you look at the pinkness of the S95D, that is not visible in person. What you can see in person is the lack of glare on the S95D. Now, the S95D with the matte finish, or I should say anti-glare, is a TV that I did not like when I first saw it introduced at CES. Now, easily one of my favorite TVs of the year. Now, while I'm showing you a lot of Samsung simply because they do have the best presence in any Best Buy that I've been to. Now, the QN900D has the best processor in their entire lineup, followed by the QN800D. The challenge is the 900D is very expensive for modern prices, considering what the rest of the manufacturers are doing. They need to have that next processor down to the S95D, S90D, and the rest of their Neo QLED lineup. They do have something for everyone at every price point. Not to mention sizes from 42. They have the most random sizes too. They have 50 something inch sizes below 55, 52. They have sizes for everyone. The problem is it's very hard for the average person walking in to know what all these are and what their strengths are. They do have WOLEDs that look like they are the same number as QD-OLEDs. Now we're here in my local Best Buy. You can see that they have them stacked up, but also very well organized. I have the S90D at my house right now. There's several videos on the channel, but this is all their new demo material. From what I understand, having the letterbox bar demos, a lot of people were saying like, hey, can I get some full screen demo material? And here it is. This is directly from Samsung. Again, the S95D looks pink due to the technology on camera. Back to Hisense U8N. I have this TV at home, 65 inches, excellent display from Hisense. I also have the U7N on the way, which you'll see go against the U8N and last year's U7K. Cannot wait to see the U9N and the Hisense UX, which I covered last year. Love to see what Hisense is doing this year. Moving over to TCL. Now, TCL has an even stronger presence in the two Best Buys that you'll see within this video, both South Carolina and Myrtle Beach. What I love about having not only that large, as I zoom in, that large section over as you walk in next to the Hisense 100-inch, having a 98-inch. They have these separate kiosks, again, with their sound options. Demo material you can pick on that little LCD there in the corner. You'll see the Q7 at 65, and in the Connecticut location, you'll actually see the 75-inch. Which is what you see right now. And we're actually going to go back to the South Carolina, and there's the 65. So having separate sizes, separate kiosks, looking back over at the LG lineup there, seeing that push to be there, to shed that value and a word of mouth type display. You'd hear a good review and then wouldn't be able to see them anywhere, or you would just see the cheaper versions of them on the floor. This is back in Connecticut. This is the former Vizio pad. So in these stores, there really is only the 5 main players. You have your LG, Samsung, Sony, followed by TCL, Hisense. There's really nothing else there that I would really recommend. Anything below these guys is all interchangeable for the most part. If you're looking just for random insignia or TV like that Roku. But love this store presence by them. Makes it very easy to recommend. And as I mentioned, the beauty of what we do is you've been able to hear what we say and then come in here and see for yourself and then hopefully buy from them. Support the brick and mortar, even the larger ones. Back to Myrtle Beach, the S90D here in the corner. Surrounded by speakers. You know, I love that setup, having their sound bars there as well. And each one of these manufacturers now has their own soundbar. What I love about the Best Buy in South Carolina is some of the best TVs from last year is on this side. You'll see the A95L, you'll see some of the Samsungs, but they're not just thrown over here. There's the A95L there. They're labeled properly. And it's a good way to show the furniture that they're also selling. Here you have an X90L, and one of the most underrated TVs from last year is the X93. I actually did a short last year on this very setup. Very rarely you'll see those two TVs together. But other than us telling you guys about them, a lot of these models you'll never know exist at all. So being able to come into a store and see them here, so important. And I don't want that to go away. So I'll continue to bring you videos like this. Now, it's not always easy to film in store. I get permission from time to time. I am a big guy. Seeing me creep around the store. There's another random Samsung OLED here in the corner. I believe that's a C series. So it's not easy to film. It never was. But I still want to be able to bring you that experience for a lot of you guys that can't get out. And here's all these random Pioneer TVs in the Crystal series, which is very popular. But you can see those at your, big box stores like Costco and BJ's and Walmart. You can get their Total Care, extra protection, which is great. But in closing, Best Buy is still an amazing place to pick up your next TV, a local place. What I love about this one is they do have a lot of inventory, even large TVs you can take home right now. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me as I check out Best Buy South Carolina, as well as the Best Buy local to me. Support all your retail brands, our good friends at Value Electronics. Everyone you can support them. All right, guys. Love you guys. Please consider liking and subscribing. Take care.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. There can be only one.